and I'm here to give you 6 quick tips for virtual learning. And a little background too about myself. I actually was a faculty member before. I've mentioned that in my other videos. And one of the things I did is I started off as a distance learning faculty member, which means I taught online. And I learned a lot about teaching online from being a distance learning faculty member. I did that for 5 years. And I also taught other courses that were online or that were hybrid, which means they were online part of the time and then face-to-face part of the time. And so I have some tips that I picked up over the years, and I'm going to share them with you. Okay, my first tip is to have a schedule. So set a schedule every single day of what time school is going to start, and make sure you stick to it. Tell your kids, TV off, devices away other than what the one you're using. Make sure their toys are put away. It's not time for video games or DS or playing outside or having friends over. It's time to be at school, unless there's an activity that involves having their friends come over, which would be cool if teachers arrange that. So anyway, make sure they have designated times and to work, and that they know what those times are, and then also designated breaks and lunchtime and stop time, so they know what time it's over. It's just like if your kid's on a sports team and they have practice at 4 or 5 o'clock every day. You don't want to be like, oh no, we're not going to show up at practice at 4. We're going to show up at practice at 3 or at 6 or whatever. Your coach isn't going to like that, and the teacher wouldn't like it either. And I really believe that students need to treat school like it's their job. And if you were at your job, what would you need to do well at work? How would you feel if you went to work every day and your computer wasn't running, or you didn't have pens and paper and you needed it, or Post-it notes or other supplies? All of that stuff should be ready and available for students when they start working on their computer. And also, or like the program you needed to do your job wasn't working. So frustrating, right? That happens all the time. And it's even more frustrating when you're younger and you don't know how to manipulate maybe the computer to get it to do what you want, or you don't have IT to call to come and fix it. So make sure that everything is up and ready to go. Have all of the supplies, whatever laptop, iPad, tablet, whatever you're using to connect to the internet. Maybe you're using something on your television, who knows? But make sure that's all ready to go, and make sure your connections are secure and set up, and you know how many devices you can have running on your system at one time. And then my fourth point is make sure you do the assignments that are given in class. A lot of that, the instructor, they can't come back and find out what you're doing or not doing. They can see how much you've been online. Like for me, when I was teaching, I could always see how much time each student spent in my class and how much time they spent on every assignment. And most learning platforms do that now. And I'll tell you, my boss, who was my boss, they could see how much time I spent online as an instructor too. And part of doing the assignments is making sure that you get the assignments done on time and turned in. And it's not because I wasn't always good at getting my assignments turned in on time. I'm not gonna lie. But the reason is some of the online learning platforms will not let students submit their papers or assignments late. And so if they can't get the paper turned in, then they have to ask special permission from the instructor, and the instructor may not always catch it in time to notice. So that's something else to keep in mind. The next thing is, in college, you're taught to spend 3 hours outside of class for every hour you spend in class. And in high school, I think it was 2 hours, in middle school, 1 hour. Sorry, the air is really, really dry here. And so for every hour you are in class, you should plan on spending time outside of class, especially online. Nobody's there to tell you to do your reading. No one's there to find out if you did your reading. They can't look at your face and be like, oh, Susie Q looks confused, and I think that maybe she didn't do her homework, so let me spend a little extra time going over the reading in class. And I participated in Zoom calls myself, and there are like 20 or 30 faces you're talking to, and there is just no way that you can look at a little square of a face and be able to tell, is that person confused, and look, not much less 30 little squares of a face at once. There's just no way. So make sure that you do the assignments and you do the homework that the teacher assigned, because there's no way they can actually look at every single little person all the time, even though I'm sure they would want to, but it's just online, it's more compact and so a little more complicated. And that also means, brings me to my last point, it's really important that you communicate with your teacher and teachers with students, because you're never sure what the questions are. And not only that, but the communication is what makes online learning work.